Hi, and welcome to Module 4 on Philosophy of Religion. This module is 4 weeks in length, but at least here in the fall semester, it also falls over the Thanksgiving break. So sort of keep that in mind. It does have a solid 4 weeks of material, or maybe not solid, but I mean, it does have a good amount of material. But so, you kind of want to keep that in mind, that as you pace yourself and go through the stuff. This one is sort of a mix. We're going to talk a little bit about, as we get towards the end, we'll have a couple lessons on other religions, Eastern religions traditions. We won't spend a ton of time on that, but we will take a look at how those religious traditions differ and what exactly they believe about God and faith and religion or whatever, so on and so forth. And that'll be a big part of it. But as far as this, a lot of Eastern religions, they believe in God, but they don't necessarily have the same concept of God or the same emphasis on it, especially in things like Taoism and Confucianism, Buddhism. Oftentimes most of the leaders believe in a God, or gods, but they don't necessarily make it. They're very different from the Western tradition. So we look to the Western tradition, and to a large degree, we'll spend a lot of time on that because the Western traditions of basically Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, because they, to a large degree, as far as philosophy goes, I mean, philosophy and the way we study it here in the United States tends to be from a Western perspective, and they've put a lot of emphasis on religions of the West because that's the religions that they've been affiliated with. So a lot of the philosophers spend a lot of time talking about that. And so we sort of follow in that tradition in that regard. We spend a little time on the Eastern, but we also will focus mainly on the Western, or spend a lot more time analyzing the Western religions. And so we start off by looking at what is the concept of God within those religions. They have a concept of a God who is one, a creator, all-powerful, all-loving, all-knowing. And so we start off with sort of looking at that God, and then we go through some arguments that have been classic arguments for the existence of that God. Now, we start off with those arguments because, the idea would be is you first have to prove or believe that God exists before we can even really, otherwise it becomes sort of irrelevant to even discuss it. And then we'll look just sort of at one of the biggest problems that confronts Western religions is if you have a God who's all loving, all powerful, and he loves people and doesn't want to see them hurt, and he can do anything God wants, then God should be making the effort to avoid human suffering or pain. And yet humans, there is pain, there is suffering, there are problems. And so why does God do it? It's called the problem of evil, and so we'll take some time and we'll look at that. Alright, well, I hope you will enjoy it, and as always, don't be afraid to email me if you have any questions or comments. Thanks.